Hello everyone and welcome back to the Blackfoot Book Club and yet another edition from my essential film reviews collection. And so here are some more rambling musings, but this time on the 2022 film Crimes of the Future, directed by David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg's latest disturbing and shocking creation centres on a dank, dark and dirty unnamed city of a future that was constantly reinforced to me as perhaps a dystopian relic from a near past, or for those of a conspiratorial mind, a very near future indeed. One of the film's very first images is of a large barge or ship idling on its side and rusting away in the shallow waters of a coastal town that is as rusty, industrial, yellow-brown and decaying as the stranded ship. Every room or place of interest within this dark and unwelcoming city is badly decaying, with paint peeling from every wall and surface, and everywhere is covered in a yellow-brown mould. But rather than the obviously anticipated death that would follow in such a horrendous hellscape, it is indeed life, the creation of life, and rather more pointedly, the creation of artificial synthetic life that captures the imagination of a ragtag cast of characters within 4 or 5 distinct groupings inside the city. With the eradication of physical pain, disease and no hand washing anymore, cutting, extreme body mutilations and surgery is clearly regarded as a sexual as well as a physical high, whilst a frail old man seemingly stands alone. He can still feel pain, chronic pain, but he has a unique bodily gift. The cast of characters: first we have Saul Tenser, Viggo Mortensen, and Caprice, Léa Seydoux, ostensibly avant-garde performance artists within a far larger circle of similar artists who all share a fascination for extreme body mutilation art and performance. Saul and Caprice have a show entitled Body is Reality, whereby Saul is surgically operated upon by Caprice live on camera and to a sparse live audience, and his organs removed as the artists get higher and higher on their performance. Other narrative strands comprise of a bemused detective cope trying to infiltrate the black market and underbelly of an underclass seemingly headed by Lang Detrice, an unnerving couple of technical advisors for the big biotech industry that constantly hovers in the background, and Timlin and Whippet, 2 ideologically driven investigators for a hitherto secret organisation known only as the National Organ Registry. Kristen Stewart and Don McKellar are particular standouts as the duality of their characters and motivations become apparent, with Stewart in particular scatty, off-kilter and quietly disturbing. The same can be said for our 2 central characters. Saul Tenser, Viggo Mortensen. It could be argued that Saul is a living organ donator, a work of artistic expression, a maverick, a visionary, or a living, breathing human experiment. He is certainly an inspiration to Whippet and Timlin, and loved by his partner in artistic performance, Caprice. Plugged into a pod bed and connected by organic tubes at the wrists and ankles, this is eerily reminiscent of the pods from the original Matrix film, as he experiences an almost daily rebirth as he struggles with his ongoing pain. Whether strapped into a bizarre skeletal chair or the Sark, a futuristic autopsy machine that could be seen as a horizontal birthing pod from the original Alien film, Saul cuts a somewhat ethereal and ghostly figure, as well as often cloaked and face-masked Wraith. A quiet and disturbing performance the equal of the character, created by director Cronenberg. Caprice, Léa Seydoux. From an original introduction as the somewhat meticulous, methodical and technical half of the performing art duo, Caprice quickly morphs into an idealist, a performer, a darker character who rightly but snidely describes Timlin as creepy, as well as a hyper-ambitious and driven performer, perhaps needing the high and sensual energy only the extreme surgeries can provide. In love with Saul, a love appreciated, but perhaps not truly reciprocated. Depending on your sensibilities, or in my case, the lack thereof. The central themes of evolution, climate change, a poisoned future, heavy reliance on plastics and synthetics, as well as the dark subject matter of transhumanism, are all available for debate. The film's marquee stars, as well as Kristen Stewart, are excellent, and huge kudos must be showered in the direction of Howard Shore for his haunting musical score and Douglas Koch for the lighting and cinematography of a pea soup of a film. For the film is atmospheric, brilliantly if ugly decorated in decay, and with an almost constant dark tinged fog of putrid and dark, dirty, yellow and brown. But Crimes of the Future ultimately left me as cold and dirty as the graffiti-covered walls of decay and destruction that pervade the film. I felt the story was stunted, with far too much exposition and far too much repetition that with a sharpened editing knife could have dropped 15 minutes or so and tightened up an intriguing, if ultimately underwhelming, shock horror. I honestly didn't care for this film, but then again, I didn't enjoy David Cronenberg's Videodrome in 1983, or Crash over a decade later. Perhaps I'm a little disappointed, as I've loved every one of the 3 films I've seen from the director since the turn of the millennium. A History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen is incredible. A Dangerous Method, Viggo Mortensen again, an underrated gem I've often returned to since its release in 2011, as well as Cosmopolis, a year later. Disturbing, shocking and graphically adult, Cronenberg's latest just left me cold. And that was Crimes of the Future, directed by David Cronenberg, brought to you by a man in a Beatles t-shirt on a rainy day in England, still reading and writing pointless but spoiler free film reviews since 2012. And I leave you in peace and in solidarity, and I thank you so much for watching. Please take care out there, everyone. Peace.